Yo, what's good, guys? Producer Mykah, and today, guys, we are gonna be mixing an Afro lead vocal. So we're gonna be taking our vocal from sounding like this to sounding like this. Yeah, so I'm sure you can hear the difference. So today I'm gonna be showing you guys how you can achieve some clean lead vocal mix on your vocals. So without wasting time, guys, let's go. All right, so I'm just gonna drag in the vocal, and I have this vocal, which was recorded for my last single I just dropped featuring Solibe, and it's titled On Me. We're gonna be working with a wave beat. And why I'm working with a wave beat is because most of you are gonna get mixing jobs that just you're just sent just the wave beat, and you're not sent the stems. And I actually produced this beat, so I actually mixed it well, and it sounds really nice. So quickly, I have the stems right inside my DAW. And what I'm gonna do, the first thing I always do is to get the tempo. It's good to get the tempo so your reverb and delay can just sit really well with what you're working with. I'm just gonna detect the tempo, and one quick way you can just do that in FL is just coming to the beat, right clicking and put detect tempo, and just gonna pick a range, and it's telling me the tempo is 105, and I think that's definitely the tempo. So I'm just gonna stretch everything, and let's just listen to what the raw vocal sounds like before we go into mixing this song. So quickly, what I always do, when I have vocals like this, is just to clean up the vocals. And what I mean by that is just taking out, the empty spaces in between, where there can be noise, where there can be some breath. So I just spend a lot of time cleaning up those spaces, and that's basically what I'm gonna be doing now. I'm just gonna go into each of these vocal and just try to take out these dead spaces. Let me just solo it, and I'm just gonna forward this part so I don't really actually just waste time doing this. Okay, guys, so I think I've actually cleaned it up to the extent I can start working on it. It's actually good that I just spend time cleaning up all those spaces in between. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna loop this section, and let's just hear what that section sounds like. So the first thing I always do is put in my autotune. Afro Beat vocals just need autotune, just gives it autotune to really just put everything on key. So I'm just gonna go over and select autotune Evo. And when you want to use autotune, the first thing you should put in mind is the key of what this song. So, and very easy to find the key. In case you produce it, it's quite easy. You already know the key. Or in case you didn't produce it, one way you can do is just FL keys, for example, and just play the song and just tap till you find the key. That's my approach, though. So yeah, so the key is F sharp major. So I'm just gonna bring back the autotune, and just come over to the key F sharp and put in our major. And I'm just gonna use alto tenor because I'm dealing with a guy voice. And then what I can do for my return speed is just increase it till I feel it's okay. It's basically your ear when mixing. It's more of working with your ear. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna be using a return speed of 10. That's just perfect for me. And most songs I work on, I always use the return speed of around 10. The next thing I'm gonna do is just load in wave, and I'm gonna be using wave verse. So this is loaded, and what I'm gonna do, the first thing I'm gonna do is my EQ. It's good to have your subtractive EQ first, taking out those frequencies that I feel are not nice. So I'm gonna go over to the EQ section, and I'm gonna be using the F6, put in my high pass, and let's just turn it on. Yeah, so I've done that, just taking away some you know, whatever frequency are in that low end, because basically we're not even going to be hearing it. Then the next thing is just, you know, listen to frequency. So what I do is just boost it up and listen, and frequencies that are not nice, I just, you know, tend to pull it down. Yeah, so we have this. So I'll just use a very sharp cue. So let's pick another, you know, another frequency. Let's work on the cue. Don't you know this your body is a miracle? Monday to Friday, every day in a party. The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry. And you know, when doing your subtractive EQ, it's just good to listen, to really listen and hear those frequencies well. And you know, doing the subtractive EQ, you tend to lose some gain in the vocal. So I'm just going to compensate that. I'm just going to add a little bit of gain. I think around like 1 dB. And the days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come. I think I need to bring this also. There is some frequency in this mid region. The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. See the way you find me, I bunny direct go. Don't you know? One thing I just love adding on my master, the real phones. You know, so if I'm mixing, I can just be checking how the mix sounds in various environment. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna use generic headphones, and I'm just gonna use the studio closed, because you know I'm using a closed headphones, and I'm just gonna pick one of the studios. Let's see, music studio, and let me pick. On cloud nine, no be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. See the way you find me, I bunny direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday. Yeah, so I think I like the way the vocal is sounding. The taste of your love be like coca. So let me see, without without this F6, we have this. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. You know, so we'll just clean the vocal a little bit, you know, taking out those frequencies that are really not nice. Yes, so let's listen whether we have some S's in the vocals that need de-essing. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on. Yeah, so I'm gonna use my de-esser from the male presets. Let's go with the male S. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on. Yeah, just a little bit of that, be like say, you know, just a little bit of taming. Then the next thing I'm gonna bring in is another EQ, and with this EQ I'm just gonna be boosting, you know, a little bit of the high end, giving it that sweet, you know, that sweet feel on the vocal. So let's go. I'm gonna be using the SSL channel EQ. Yep, I just love the texture of this EQ. So I'm just gonna come over to the, you know, the high frequency. Let's boost it. Let's say around 14K. I'm just gonna add in, you know, a little bit of. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. So let's turn on the vocal, the beat. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. See the way you find me, I bunny direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day in a party. You know, so it has given it the vocal, you know, that bright high end. And I'm just gonna turn off everything so you hear what it sounds like before. The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. Yeah, nice. So I'm gonna be loading on that EQ, and with this EQ, just gonna be doing a little bit of boosting also. So let's go to the PewTech. I think I'm gonna use the PewTech EQ. Alright, so with this, you know, I'm also gonna just be boosting a little bit of the high frequency also. The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. See the way you find me, I bunny direct go. Just gonna be boosting. Don't you know? This your body. Just gonna be boosting around the, you know, the 4 kilohertz. Yeah, just a little bit. The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you a carry come, but now you a carry go. See the way you find me, I bunny direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day in a party. Olo mi fa mo fi, ololufe wetin dey jo. Yeah, nice. I think I'm done with my EQ. I'm done with how the vocals sound now. I've taken out some frequencies that are not nice, added in, a little bit of some frequencies I feel should be present in this vocal. The next thing I'm going to be doing is adding my compressor. So this is just going to be a quick mix, and you're going to see how this is going to sound really, really interesting and sweet. So I'm going to be adding in a compressor, and I'm going to be using the CLA2A. So let's see, let's listen in context.
The taste of your love be like coca. The taste of your love be like. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Don't you know?
So what I'm trying to do is just not go below -3 dB. Just touching on those frequencies a little bit.
The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9. No be you I carry come.
So let me go back to the real phones and let's just listen to what the vocal sounds like.
The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day in a party to party. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday.
So you can hear some noise, like I was saying before. So when you start adding, bringing in all these compressors, it tends to bring out the noise that are underneath the recording. So that's why you need to cut all those spaces that are in between. And I'm gonna add on that, on that compressor, still the CLA2A.
The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9.
Yeah. So with this,
the taste of your love be.
Let's see what we could do with this.
The taste of your love be. The taste of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud 9. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day in a party to party. Olo mi famo mi, ololufe wetin dey jo. The taste of your love be like.
Yeah, I think I like the way the whole vocal is sounding. Just a little bit and see where we've come. So let's listen from the top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna send these vocals to the same. Okay, they're already on the same insert. So let's listen, from the verse.
I know feel like to you, girl, I'm in love with you. And every other girls I know, I say it's all over. Even if they say it's taboo. Over. Even if they say it's taboo. I have to go to jail for you. How I go live this life if I go there without you? Ololufe wetin dey your mind? Tell me look, I love a G. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Ololufe wetin dey your mind? Tell me look, I love badun. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Wait. On me. Put all your worries on me. Put all your issues on me.
I'm gonna do like a parallel compression on this. So I'm just gonna go over to parallel split. And let's turn on this, and I'm just gonna bring in a compressor, and this compressor I think I'm gonna be using the CLA76 compressor, and yeah, our CLA76. So with this I'm gonna be doing a big ratio
over.
Yeah, and let's see, let's bring a very slow release and a fast attack. Okay, so with this let me just
over. Say taboo. I have to go to jail for you. How I go live this life over. Over.
Yeah, so I just want to blend in this heavily compressed vocal, with the original vocal. So just to give it some weight.
Over. Even if they say taboo, I have to go to jail for you. How I go live this life if I go there without.
Yeah, so this is what I'm just blending in. Just a heavily compressed vocal, just blending it with, the treated vocal, just to give it some weight.
Over. Even if they say taboo.
So let me go back to real phones and just listen to what the vocal sounds like.
Over. Even if them say taboo, I feel to go to jail for you. How I go live this life if I go there without you? Olólùfẹ́ wetin dey your mind? Tẹ̀lé mi lọ ká lọ fàájì take
Yeah, and I really love the way it's sounding. So yeah.
over.
So I'm gonna go over to this section we've been working on.
The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to
Nice. So the next thing I can just add is my reverb and delay, and this is just gonna sound amazing. So and why I love this studio verse is I can just create a parallel spread for my reverb and delay. So I'm gonna be using my first reverb. I'm gonna be using like 2 reverb, which is the true verb. Let's go back to the reverb and the true verb reverb.
the days of your love be like coca.
Yep, so I'm just gonna blend it. So let's listen.
The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me for me. Olólùfẹ́ wetin.
Nice. But what I think what I can also do is just put in an EQ just to tame, to tame the reverb. So let's bring in this. I'm just gonna use my low pass and high pass filter.
The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me for me.
So I'm gonna add in, another reverb. Let's come over to our reverb section. And I think I'm gonna be, let me see which reverb I'm going to use. I think I'm gonna use Abbey split. So let's drag this. I'm just gonna increase the wetness all the way to 100.
The days of your love.
And let's turn it on.
The days.
Yeah, still much, so let's blend it.
The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me for me.
So the same thing I'm gonna do, just use my EQ to tame. That's probably good to just use your EQ to tame those reverb to suit what you're doing. If not, it's just gonna spread, all around. So I'm gonna come over to the F6.
The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me for me. Olólùfẹ́ wetin dey your? The days of your love be like coca. Be like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban direct go. Oh oh, don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me for me. Olólùfẹ́ wetin dey.
Yeah, so let me play from the top. I might still reduce those reverb, but let's see.
I don't feel like to you. Girl, I'm in love with you.
Next thing I'm gonna add is just my delay. And with the delay, I think we should have like a very, very nice mix. So let's go over to the delay. I'm gonna use the H delay. Let's go with the H delay. Let's increase the wetness. Just bring down the feedback. I'm gonna be using the ping pong delay. So you just go left and right.
I don't feel like to you. Girl, I'm in love with you. I don't feel like to you. Girl, I'm in love with you. And every other girls I know, I say it's all over. Even if they say taboo, I feel to go to jail for you. How I go live this life if I go there without you? Olólùfẹ́ wetin dey your mind? Tẹ̀lé mi lọ ká lọ fàájì. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Olólùfẹ́ wetin dey your mind? Tẹ̀lé mi lọ ká lọ gbádùn. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. On me. Put all your worries on me. Put all your issues on me. You know I there for you. On me. Put all your worries on me. Put all your billing on me. You know I there for you. The days of your love be like coca. Feel like see I day on cloud nine. No be you I carry come, but now you I carry go. See the way you find me, I ban it direct go. Don't you know? This your body is a miracle. Monday to Friday, every day na party to party. Follow me from on party to party. Follow me from on me. Ololufe waiting there your mind. Telling me look I love a G. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Aye. Ololufe waiting there your mind. Telling me look I love badun. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Wait. On me. Put all your worries on me. Put all your issues on me. You know I there for you. On me. Put all your worries on me. Put all your feeling on me. You know I there for you. Oh no, olólùfẹ́ mi, jọ̀wọ́, jẹ́ ká lọ gbádùn.
Yeah, so I think I'll take that out. So you can just see how, just adding our EQ compressor. We just our reverb and delay. We have a very, very nice sounding vocal. And I just use parallel compression to add in some weight. And I'm just going to do a before and after so you can hear what this mix sounds like. So let me, turn off everything.
Girl, I'm in love with you. And every other girls I know, I say it's all over. Even if they say taboo, I have to go to jail for you. How I go live this life if I go there without you? Ololufe waiting there your mind. Telling me look I love a G. Take all your pains away. Take all your pains away. Ololufe waiting there your mind.
Yeah, so I think I love everything. So just a quick recap. We started by knowing what our tempo is, cleaning up the quiet spaces or where there are, no vocals, just to make the vocal sound really clean as possible. Then we discovered our tempo, which is very important, so your delays can sit well. Then added in some subtractive EQ, did some de-essing, brought in some additive EQ just to boost some of those sweet high end. Then the next thing was, we use our compressor to tame everything, make everything sound really nice. Added our parallel compressor to give it some weight. Brought in our reverb and delays, and we have this amazing vocal mix. So if you're on the Patreon, I'm just gonna drop in this vocal presets in case you just want to try out for yourself. So I hope you got something from this, and if you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification so you get notified when next I post. I think this is the final video for the year 2024, and see you guys in 2025 with more amazing videos. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.